All right, guys, I'm super excited for this episode because this is really special right now because it's what's going on right now, coronavirus, and right now I have someone who I'm going to interview. We're going to refer to him as Batman. Did you say I could refer to you as Batman?
No, I mean that's what my daughter has been calling me. But yeah, whatever you want to call me, I've been called worse in my life.
All right, for this episode and for these purposes, I'm going to call you Tom. And Tom, go ahead and explain to everyone why we are kind of keeping you anonymous.
Well, the main reason is just because it's kind of like having that scarlet letter on you, right? Everyone right now is so scared, and even today you heard Lisa there at the health department in the Branson meeting. She started coughing, and she said allergies right after it, and everyone started laughing. But that's the time that we live in right now, and even about 3 months before this all even started, I was coughing on a cruise ship, and I had to tell a guy, "Hey, don't worry, I'm just a smoker." And it's not corona. But now it really is. But it's just the judgment. Um, I don't want people to see me out in public and freak out because I am better than a lot of others right now.
And Tom, you did agree, and again, you can change your mind right now, but here in maybe a couple months, are you open for doing an interview and taking off the mask?
Yeah, I'll totally. I just don't feel like putting my teeth in, so I wanted to wear the mask.
I don't blame you. So, guys,
I'm just kidding.
Tom right now has coronavirus or is recovering from coronavirus, or are you negative now?
So I did do the 340 test. I was one of them selected for my second test, and all of them came back negative, including mine. However, I did test positive on April 1st for COVID-19.
So Tom, let's go back here. I want to know, since like I said, I've never. You're hearing it right now. Everyone's like, all the conspiracy theorists are going, well, tell me, how many people do you actually know with coronavirus? Well, right now I'm talking to someone who lives 15 minutes probably from my house who has coronavirus. Now, again, we're not going to release your name and all that stuff, but take us back, Tom, where you were at and how did you get coronavirus? Do you think?
Well, I didn't eat any bat soup like people say. Uh, what happened is March 9th, I got sent to Las Vegas for an amazing work opportunity. But Las Vegas was a hot center, and a lot of people, and this was right when it was just starting to get to the U.S. And when I was in Las Vegas, everybody was, doing pretty good social distancing. It was spring break, so I expected it to be hopping, but I mean, it was like the 76 strip. It was okay, but it wasn't booming like it normally would. And and on that Thursday during my week there, I started feeling just off. And then Friday when I flew home, it just kind of really onset. And that's when the CDC said that I more than likely contracted COVID-19 on that day, Tuesday, while I was in Las Vegas, which would have been March 10th.
Now, when you said you kind of started feeling not right, how would you explain your first symptoms to the world?
Mm, the first symptoms I felt were just out of place, just really disoriented, kind of like maybe like a really bad hangover, honestly. It could probably really be confused with that, especially since I was in Vegas. But I know that Friday on that 4:30 when I flew out, okay, I didn't go out Thursday night. I wasn't feeling well. I just felt off. I was in Vegas and I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to go back to my room. I knew I had an early flight in the morning. Friday when I flew home at 4:30, I thought, man, I'm going to blow right through the airport. It was packed. It's right when the state of Nevada announced a state of emergency. It's right when the U.S. put the ban on travel. So you had everybody trying to leave the country in Las Vegas. And they weren't even putting us through the body scanners, Chris. They had dogs sniffing us, and just that's how busy it was at 4:30 in the morning. And I just knew that day, I said, I really hope this isn't airborne because there are going to be so many people sick just from this one airport. That was one airport in the United States that I experienced that. And I'm sure LaGuardia, I've been there multiple times, was 10 times worse. Houston, can you imagine? I
No.
mean, there's just some busier airports, and that was a very scary flight home. I just knew all of us were sick.
So did you know, like once you started coming down with it, like, dude, this is totally COVID?
Yeah. Yeah, I just knew because I lost my sense of taste and smell. I'm a pretty big guy, so I always have good appetite. Um, but I haven't. I didn't at all. Nothing sounded good. My wife, I have a basement. So I have my own room in the basement. I just quarantined myself down here. But even her with my family upstairs, they've stayed away from me.
So you're on the plane, you're feeling very just not right, and then would you say your second symptoms were they kind of like textbook, scratchy throat, all that?
Yeah, I would say that was mainly it. But what was weird about my case is I didn't have a temp. My body. I mean, I never have been one to carry temps, but I never had one. But everything else was textbook. But I also had increased symptoms like a Charlie horse in my lungs. Um, did you hear that?
Yeah, tell me about the Charlie horse in your lungs.
I mean, I have one right now just talking to you, but it's just what it feels like is that you have two lungs, and then you have the two lobes that they've called them. Okay. Those two bottom lobes, especially your bottom right one, is the first one that gets hit the hardest. And it just feels like a Charlie horse, like someone's just grabbing it and squeezing it. And it's kind of like a tremor, and it will happen for maybe 30 seconds. It might last for 5 minutes, and then it'll go away. And the biggest fear that the doctors had was that it could be a blood clot.
Wow, that's scary,
So,
man.
yeah,
So you had the scratchy throat, and then you started getting like, but you had no temperature. That's really fascinating.
I had extreme aches. So,
That's
yeah,
crazy. Explain the
like a
body aches.
temperature would. The aches were just felt like literally there were multiple times when people would ask me, "How you doing?" I'd say, "I feel like a train just ran over my chest." I mean, that's the pain. Like you just felt like you were just in a mosh, and people were just stepping all over you, your back, the back of your lungs, the front of your chest. I mean, I would check my chest after getting out of the shower just to make sure I didn't have bruises because it felt like I did. It hurt so bad. Um, and then that's when my doctor started talking to me about permanency, which is something a lot of people don't talk about.
Wait. Permanency. Like this could be a permanent symptom forever?
So due to the damage, we don't know the level of damage because we haven't taken patients into the hospitals yet to do testing because we're too afraid that they might still be carrying it. So they haven't carried on with any research. But the fear is that our lungs have been so damaged, like any virus, pneumonia, SARS, afterwards you're going to have after effects, especially for people that have asthma or smokers. Their lungs are going to be like, who knows if they'll be at 100% occup. I don't know what the word is there.
Was just
Um,
100% clear. Like they're going to clean themselves
yeah,
and heal themselves. It may not do that, right?
yeah,
You're a strong dude. So for someone like you, man, to be taken down by this thing, this coronavirus is not the flu, correct?
yeah. No, no. I'm 30 years old. I got my own family. I'm not overly obese, and I'm pretty average. And the thing is that it's anyone's susceptible. That's the thing that upsets me or saddens me the most is when I see my own friends and family on Facebook downplaying it and not taking it serious because there's a lot of us that have been through hell and back. And not just us, our families. I mean, my mom and dad, the fear that they had. My son, I've had to miss 3 months of his life. Going through those crucial stages of 2.5 through three. The only way I've been able to even help be a part of my family is by putting food on the table by ordering, delivered. But other than that, I haven't been able to help. And I'm just a very small percentage. And everyone talks about, well, we're 0.2% or whatever it is in Branson infected. Well, that's the people that actually pass the threshold for the testing. The testing is so hard. It's damn near impossible to get. And I was lucky enough that they finally said, yeah, you can do it. And I tested positive. But there's many people that probably weren't as perseverant as I was, that probably gave up. But it took me about 8 webcam calls to Cox Health and to my doctor for them to actually test me. Um, and it took about a month.
Why do you think it took that long to test you? I mean, you were textbook coronavirus, man.
Yeah, so it comes down to they didn't have them, and I even had called the VA because being a veteran, I have my benefits, and I had called them and I said, look, I feel like I have COVID. Told them why. They said, yep, we agree, but we don't have testing. So even our federally funded hospitals, the VA in Branson, Missouri, nor did Fayetteville, Arkansas, the main hub for the Midwest, have the COVID-19 testing. That was probably March 28th that I made that call, March 27th. I even wrote the governor and said, this is unacceptable. I wrote Billy Long, our representative, and said, Branson, Missouri doesn't have testing for veterans. The numbers have been inaccurate. And then we finally did get the testing, and they wanted to use them on the healthcare workers and the frontline workers, and I get that. And then these new tests that come in, I don't know. But I feel like they just didn't have the test. I even had a doctor admit that to me. The VA admitted it, and Cox Health finally said, you got to put $1,200 on it that you have it. But the, the test doesn't change the cure. And I said, what? And she said, the test won't change the cure. Assuming you do have it, it won't change what you're already doing, except if you need a vent in you or you need respiratory support, you need to go to the ER. But other than that, the test won't change it. So I just gave up after that. And literally the next day, my doctor called because I'd been doing webcams. I never actually got to talk to my doctor. And she finally called me and said, I heard that you've been trying to get a hold of me for a month. And I said, yeah, where the hell you been? And she ordered the tests that day. And then she was calling me about 5 times a day, and she ordered me a home monitoring kit from the hospital to monitor for blood clots.
So here it
So I
is.
had to wear that.
It's almost April 1st. You said it was like the 27th, 28th. What are your symptoms at this point? And you're just getting tested. Is it pretty rough at this point?
So when my second week felt like death. It really did. I was very tired. Couldn't get up at all. So that would be like March 21st to the 28th. And then about the 28th, I started feeling better. After I talked to the doctor and she gave me that tough love talk, I said, you know what? I'm fine. I'm just going to suck it up. I have it. I'm just going to hang in there. Stay away from everybody until I feel better. I'm 72 hours symptom free. Until this day, I've not been symptom free 24 hours. I still have laryngitis. So, but I'm recovered.
But in our pre-interview, laryngitis is basically a secondary infection, correct?
Yeah, the Taney County Health Department clarified it as a co-infection to COVID-19. So, unfortunately, antibiotics do not react well with COVID-19. So it's just more about suck it up and wait. And again, now you have to talk about permanency. Thank God I'm not a motivational speaker, because there would go my career if I never get my voice back.
So, man, we're 2 months in and you're still sick, bro.
That's
This
the
is
thing.
this is not a joke.
It's not 14 days. I don't care. And that's the thing. I'm just one. There's a ton of us out there, and none of you want us coming to your restaurants. None of you want to see me come in with my mask on. So if you don't want me coming in personally to your place, why would you want anyone else that could potentially have it? Because I'm just one. And yeah, we do only have 12 in Branson right now. I don't trust the test. I'm sorry. It's too hard to get.
So here it is. So you get your test back and it's positive. What happens after that? Like what are your symptoms? Does it just keep continuing to get worse? Like, are you having breathing problems?
So yeah, let's talk April 1st. Then I went and did my test on April Fool's Day. I got to get my test results back April 2nd, a 24-hour turnaround. First person calls me is Taney County Health Department. And then my doctor, I call her and let her know, and she says, okay, this is what we're going to do. My symptoms at that point, I felt like I was getting better after I did my test. I said, I'm not even worried. But then that next morning, about April 3rd, I woke up, and again, I was in a downhill dive. It didn't feel like as bad as it did when I felt like I was dying, but I started getting heart palpitations. I felt like I had a butterfly in my heart constantly. My anxiety was through the roof. My blood pressure was sitting at 125 heart rate, and my oxygen was sitting at 93. And I would have to put my feet up. I would have to just do everything I could to keep my heart rate down. Um, drink lots of water. I mean, but my biggest thing that I hated was the aches, the nausea. That week, about week 3, was when I got sick every morning. I'd be waking up at 3 a.m. every morning, and then I'd be up all day just getting sick till about noon.
So you're throwing
Um,
up. Like this is actually affecting your gastrointestinal system.
yeah, so I mean, and
Wow,
yeah,
man.
you have to try even the gunky stuff with the toilet. I mean, like there was a bunch of
Wow.
symptoms that were happening. My heart, my liver, my kidneys, my lungs, my throat, my head, everything that could feel wrong felt wrong. Um,
I would think the 125 beats per minute would just, I mean, that would freak me out. I've actually experienced that one time in my life, and it was awful. You feel like you can't catch your breath just because your heart rate's so high.
Yeah. So I mean, like and so I'd call my doctor, and she'd say, "All right, well, call me if it gets to 150," or she'd say, "Don't call me unless your oxygen drops below 87." She's busy because she's their healthcare right now. It's a hot time, and I appreciate her being available, and that I had the technology from Cox Hospital to monitor my stuff. But it was still incredibly scary. I mean, the biggest symptom that started to eat me up out of everything was the sense of doom. Just the fear of not knowing this is never going to end. I'm too weak. I'm too tired. Writing letters to and you know, if there's that's why like the biggest thing I reached out to my family for, like my mom, my dad, everybody back in Ohio, is I told them be there for anyone that you know that has COVID because it is so lonely knowing that you can't go to the hospital to be with your family. You can't go upstairs to get a hug from your spouse. You can't get a hug from your loved one. I sat on this porch multiple hours every day just watching my son jump on the trampoline because I couldn't get close to him. But that was a blessing to have that, to have this yard. To literally, can I turn my camera for you? This is how I would talk to my son every day, and still is but through the window while he was upstairs in the living room. So there's a lot of sacrifice. Um, where are you at? Oh, there you are. There's a lot of sacrifice. So I just want people to know there's more pain than just the physical. There's a lot of emotional pain there. And it will kill anybody, especially if they don't have the heart.
I'm so sorry you're having to go through this. You're talking about the emotional part, and I will first say I cannot relate to you. So that's not what I'm about to say because what you just told me I can't even begin to imagine. Um, I went to the grocery store today. I had to run and grab a couple things. We do not try to do that. We've been doing Walmart pickup and everything when we have to. But there was a couple things. Every once in a while, you run out of milk. You're like, shoot. Um, but I went in there today, and of course, I am an advocate for wearing face masks 24/7 when you go out, gloves. Do it the proper way. But when I went in there, for some reason today, here it is, May 4th, and I go in, and about 90% of the customers in the store were wearing masks, and it was a lot of old people. And that was the first time, surprisingly, I've seen that many people wear masks, and that many at that time in a grocery store. But it really hit me hard for some reason out of nowhere. I actually had to walk into like this other aisle just to get away from people because I had to like compose myself because I started crying, and I was like, I can't believe this is the world we're living in, man. And I just started thinking of all these old people, and maybe I thought of my grandparents or something, but it just really hit hard. And now I'm talking to you, man. And when you just shared that story to me, I think that's what a lot of people forget about. You have to stay away from your whole family. You're talking to your son to a window for
Yeah.
almost 2 months now. Now, are you able to be around them now? Obviously, since you're negative, correct?
Well, I mean, the CDC said that my family has it. We're all in the same house. We've been together around long enough. No matter how much I've quarantined, it's probably airborne. They probably all have it, and they did have symptoms, but not. No one was extreme. No one was even mild. It was all very light and
That's
assumed
good. That's
by
good.
the CDC. But And yeah, no, I'm definitely up there around him now. I still sleep downstairs, just because of the proximity. He's a big cuddler. He doesn't like to sleep in his toddler bed. He will get into bed with me, and he will be in my face. So I haven't done that yet, but everything else has resumed to normal. Um, and otherwise, and I just want to say, tag on to what you said. I'm really proud of Menards. When I go there, every associate has a face mask on. And to me, that's humbling because I love good business, and a good business is going to protect their associates.
I mean, obviously, I know how you feel and think, but you're probably not going to be going into a restaurant anytime soon, are you? Or do you plan on just doing it? I mean, you've had it. I mean, you can't get it again at this point, right?
I've thought about it on occasion about just to make a point, but I'm not that kind of person. Like you're talking about people's lives here. It's ignorant. It's stupid. I think it's naive for people to go out if you know you're sick. It's dangerous.
Obviously, yeah.
My dad received a lung transplant 2 years ago, and it's been successful. Something like this would kill him, and I've had to tell him, "You've escaped death too many times. Don't let this take you. Stay home."
There are truths to both sides, it's kind of a double-edged sword, but I think what we all have in common is everyone wants to get from point A to point B. Like you and I, we want this to be over with. We want normalcy to come back. But the problem is you have one group who's out protesting in the streets, not wearing face masks, not wearing gloves, in my opinion, and they want everything to open up right now, protect our liberties, blah, blah, blah. And then you have the other side going, we want normalcy. We want to open back up, but let's go in phases. Let's go slow. Let's make masks mandatory. And I think the great debate right now, and what I'm having a little struggle with, is a lot of people. Tom, I love referring to you as Tom, by the way, even though I know your name's not Tom. A lot of people are saying that being required by law to wear a face mask for a temporary amount of time is taking away their liberties. How do you feel about that?
That's a really silly thing, Chris, because I was thinking, about 15 years ago, right after around 2001, we were like really shunning people for wearing face masks or anything covering their face. You know, think about it. And now, 15 years later, and people, the same group of people that were arguing, hey, don't put anything over your face, they're now on Capitol Hill saying, hey, no, don't make us put anything on our face. So it's just very flip flop over the last decade, from where we were to where we are now that we're all covering our face. Totally different concept, but I just, I think they're silly. I don't get it. You tell them not to work, they want to work. You tell them to work, they don't want to work.
I feel like the whole liberty thing is just silly, and here's why. I think people tend to forget that this virus is, at least the moment we're going through this huge beginning phase, is temporary. Like, this is temporary. And when you drive a car, Tom, you have to wear a seatbelt. You have to drive a certain speed limit, correct? And when you do this, people aren't complaining about their liberties being taken away because they've got some laws for your protection and the protection of others. That's why these laws exist. So my argument with the whole face mask thing is, I just want to say, suck it up. This is temporary. You're not losing your liberties having to wear a face mask for, let's say, another 4 or 5 months, maybe just through the rest of the year, because this winter, there's going to be a second wave, in my opinion, and it's not going to be good. So I feel like if we can all just stick with it together temporarily, that's the key word here, guys. This virus, which is SARS 2.0, which I think is a huge thing I keep having to tell people, it's not the flu, it is SARS 2.0. It has a mind of its own. It's wild, it's scary, but this is temporary. So that's what I have to say about the people that are always screaming, give me back my freedom, you're taking away my liberties. I just feel like that is so extreme and so dramatic at this time. Do you agree?
I absolutely agree. I mean, that's one of the best analogies I've heard is the seatbelt. No one complains about that, and the people that don't, they end up in not good situations. But even more so, I mean, look at how much does this weigh, Chris? It weighs probably 0.1 pound. Yeah, it affects my breathing, but it also saves me. But think about motorcyclists, a 20-pound helmet on their head. They're required by law to wear that, and they're not complaining about their liberties. They're not stupid. They know it saves them. Same thing with the masks. Now we do have to take proper precautions, make sure that we're cleaning them and wearing the right, not reusing medical masks. Otherwise, we're just breathing the virus back in or spreading it. I 100% agree. That was a very good analogy.
Yeah, and again, it kind of has to go. You could use the smoking laws and smoking bans as a good example as well. It's like they don't want us to smoke around restaurants and stay 10 feet away from the building because it invokes on someone else their health, correct? People made us stop vaping and smoking in front of buildings. When I used to smoke, I remember there was a restaurant downtown. They actually come to me going, "Sir, you can't smoke here." Even though I was outside far away, they're like, "You actually have to go 12 feet away from the building on that side." And I was like, really? I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I forgot about that law. And what's funny is it's the same thing. It's like, well, you're infringing on these people's rights for their health from the smoke. I get it, but dude, what's the difference between wearing a face mask now? I had a guy cough in my face about 3 weeks ago, and it was because I was wearing a face mask, and he did it to be a jerk. I could tell, and I was like, dude, he was like he was cutting something for me. At a store, and he went like that, and I was like, "You're a jerk," and I could tell he did it on purpose. So that's kind of how I look at it. It's I don't know, man. I just know it's temporary, and I feel like people need to just we're not used to being uncomfortable. We do live. Let me make this straight too, just for the viewers. I don't want to come off as being unpatriotic. This has nothing to do with that. I love this country with all of my heart. This guy right here fought for our country and our freedoms, guys. But the thing is that it's temporary. It is not taking away your liberties. And I don't know. That's just kind of my main point.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's temporary. I was going to say about the swine flu. Well, you had brought up SARS, the first one, and there is a lot of people that keep comparing it to the flu. Well, the flu, we don't social distance. Okay, the flu, we go about our everyday lives, and that's why so many get infected and so many die. What do you think would happen if we would carry on with our normal day lives and not have social distance? The numbers still grew even with social distancing. Missouri still hasn't even hit our peak yet. Every day we keep hitting a new high, but we haven't hit a peak and then decline. It keeps rising. 800 new cases, 900. Tomorrow, who knows what's going to be? It's remember how scared everybody was with the bird flu. Okay, why don't we understand that this is the same thing, but it's the human flu, the human COVID-19 flu that passes through human transmission. And for all we know, I can tell you I used 4 bottles of hand sanitizer that whole week in Vegas. It's the grossest place on earth. I took good care of myself. I know how to wash my hands, not touch my face or my eyes. Um, I'm not 100% convinced that this isn't airborne. I don't know how else I would have gotten it.
Oh no, I think it's totally airborne. I think I think there's some new studies coming out saying it is. It's through droplets, and they're like less concerned about even surfaces and more about airborne. So I think you're right
Yeah.
on the money with that, man. Um, Go ahead.
Well, and then the other thing is it could be airborne through 5G internet as well, because the whole week I was in Vegas, I did have 5G service.
Okay, man. So I gotta stop you there. So I'm not so hot on the whole 5G thing, but I'm so glad that you brought that up because, yeah,
I
you were
can't roll
on.
it out. I can't roll it out.
Can't rule it out, man. I'm just curious because I think there's a lot of places who don't have 5G where people are getting it. So I don't know. And how could you get something from 5G and then pass that to someone else? That's my only thought. But you can't rule it out, like you said.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kidding with you. I truly do believe it is airborne. And I'm really hopeful for a vaccine.
So kind of going back real quick, I just wanted to just say one more thing about the face masks. Yes, the face masks can be a little uncomfortable, but here's the thing: the U.S. again, we are also a society of instant gratification, and everybody wants things like we've just been programmed more and more every year. Just now, we want things now, 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 done, done, and we're just really kind of impatient. But I will say I can see the other side of it too. The economy. I want to talk to you about the economy real quick. So while we would love to stay locked in for a whole year just to be like, dude, we can do this. do you think there's a point where the economy just can't handle it anymore, where we will never recover? Like, do we have to kind of find a way to get back to some sort of normalcy before the economy just completely crashes? Because right now, dude, I think we're far worse than the Great Depression right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is just it's really weird times, unprecedented, and the big thing, the economy's going to bounce back. We always will. We're pulling money out of thin air. We're just going to owe China a lot, but yeah, we're going to bounce back. Right now, the stocks, they're crashing, but same thing happened in 2008, 2009. My biggest advice for everybody that is getting forgiveness or delayed payments. If you're getting a delayed mortgage for 90 days, understand that whole bill for the 3 months is going to be due on that date, or you're going to have to arrange to have it all caught up. It's not 3 months waived. That's the biggest thing that happened in 2008, and everybody lost their homes, including my parents. My parents lost their house in 2009, right when I joined the Air Force. No. It wasn't 2009. That's when it all started, and then I ended up actually being evicted in 2011. So it's just don't fall for the housing schemes. Don't lose your house over this. Stay caught up on your payments. Take the unemployment. Take your stimulus check. Stay up on your bills, because that's the only thing that will crumble the economy. Is the people that spend recklessly and don't prepare for a worst case scenario. That's
And
my
see,
opinion.
and see, that's one thing my wife and I have been very strong on. We did get one check, and the rest, I haven't applied for any sort of financial help right now. I didn't do what is it, the PPE? Is that correct?
Oh, the personal employee protection. Yeah, I mean, if you have an LLC, Chris, personally, I would do it.
Okay. Okay.
It might be a little bit late in the game now, but we can talk
Well,
about that later.
the only reason why I haven't, because like you said, I'm kind of worried about like what they could do in the future, or if there's just something there that I'm not seeing. It's just kind of weird, and I have been lucky, man, to stay super busy with my business through this whole thing. So if you guys, those of you, you know who I'm talking of, who've been keeping me busy, thank you. I'm grateful. Thank you, because a lot of people are not staying busy right now, and I know that's scary for them. It has to be terrible. But at some point, do you think, though, that we have to get back to a sense of normalcy? And when do you think that is?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's eventually going to have to happen, but us being in Branson, what I keep telling everybody is it is much better for our economy in Branson to miss our spring and have our summer back than it is to have a little bit of our spring back and then lose all of our summer and our fall business because we have a second wave. If we can just hold on for a few more weeks till maybe June, mid June, July 1st, what about a great 4th of July, Chateau on the Lake, Big Cedar Lodge, huge grand opening, 4th of July, everybody comes back, and we have our summer. And then hopefully the second wave won't hit till after November, and we can get the best out of our season that we can and get the second wave over with in our off season. But I think it is much better and safer for us economically and humanely to miss our spring for a healthy summer than it is for a definite lockdown summer. Because that's what's going to happen. We will be locked down in the summer if we shoot the gun too early.
That's what I'm afraid of. You said something really interesting, and I really appreciate how you said that. You said financially and in a humane way. So you're talking about, some people seem to be on the side of money only, but kind of are disregarding people's health. And I feel like you have a really good balance of that. I feel like you're just kind of right in the middle. You see both sides to that, and I really appreciate that standpoint from you.
That's something my dad taught me is never overthink, never underthink, but be realistic. What's realistic? What's probably going to happen? Don't borrow a cup of worry from tomorrow. You know,
Absolutely, that's great
control
advice.
what you can control.
What do you think about, so the virus came from China? Do you think that this came from a lab? Do you think this was on purpose, or do you think this was an accident?
I think it was on purpose, but I think it was handled. I think it was an accident the way that it was handled. Okay, I think that it was created as a research opportunity It accidentally leaked, and all the signs pointed back to China. But I don't think it was a biochemical warfare. I don't think it was a terrorist attack. I think it was an accident. Just us trying to expand our knowledge. It got out. Now maybe it was somebody that was a rogue that leaked it. Who knows? But again, realistically, we don't know.
It was an accidental terrorist attack, right? That's what it
Maybe.
feels
Yeah.
like, man. For real. I have to think there's a lot of people out there that are trying to convince me that China did this on purpose, and here's where I have to try and debunk that. Why would a country want this? I mean, because China doesn't win in the end, because if they did this on purpose, then everyone, the entire world, pulls out of China and China loses. So that's why I think it was an accident. And I think what they did, whether it came out of a lab, whether it came from the wet market, I think it was an accident. And what they did is they lied, trying to cover it up so they didn't look like complete total dumbasses. And then they said, crap, we screwed
Yeah.
up. It's gone. But there is some interesting stuff that's coming out lately about how they were letting flights go out but not come in. So that is interesting to me, and I'd like to, well, we're gonna find out one day, dude, like what really happened, and it's gonna be really interesting.
Well, it's interesting that Kim Jong-un just came out of hiding for 21 days. Him and China are pretty close. I'm sure China might have been cooking something up for him just in case, and maybe it leaked and Kim got scared and went in hiding. Just in case fingers got pointed at him. But I'm telling you, who knows? But China's only got one friend in this whole world, and it's not us. It's North Korea. So,
Tom, I appreciate you so much today for taking the time to talk to us. I know you're not feeling well, so I'm so grateful for that, and I hope we didn't make your voice too sore or whatever. But thank you again so much. Is there anything you'd like to say to all the viewers right now that maybe you're on one side or the other?
my biggest advice, thank you for letting me come on and just help spread awareness. If you know anyone that's sick and suffering and may have COVID and can't get testing, be there for them, let them know that they're not alone, and try being there for them from a distance. I have a friend here in the community whose husband is a paramedic, and he's having to live apart from him right now. So one organization that I've really been invested in and thinking a lot of is RVs for MDs. It's an organization that's providing RVs that are donated to medical personnel that are on the front lines, that are able to stay in their driveway and still communicate with their kids. So check them out if you get a chance.
That's fantastic. And just real quick, I meant to ask you this earlier. You're obviously recovering, even though you have a co-infection and you're still down, man, and that sucks. How are people treating you that do know you have it right now? Are they still kind of freaked out, don't want you to come around them, or are people getting a little bit more less and less? I mean, at least people, are they understanding and pretty cool with that?
Yeah, my family, everyone that lives in my house, they're pretty cool with it. But everybody else lives out of state, and then I haven't heard from my work because everybody's laid off. So, but I do know when I'm in public, I still get stares and for wearing a mask, and maybe because I'm sweating, or maybe I don't know. They just, I had a lady at a gas station one time say, "You have it, you have it, you have it," and she refused to cash me out. And she literally threw her shirt up over her face.
That's crazy, man. Well, Tom, Tom, even though that's not your real name. Thank you so much again for being a guest on the show and just telling your story and spreading the information. This is real. Coronavirus is real. It just doesn't affect you physically. It affects people mentally. This guy right here, man, my heart went out to you when you're talking about you had to sit there and talk to your son for over a month or two. Gosh, I couldn't imagine. I could not imagine. So guys, let's all give Tom a big round of applause. Guys, comment below. What did you think of this episode? Do you want to see more episodes like this? Kind of our locals. Dude, I'm so grateful that you were willing to open up. I know you're wearing the face mask. Will you please do an interview, a follow-up in 2 months?
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Thank you for having
Yes,
me on. I
we want
appreciate you.
to. We just wish you the best of health. And guys, make sure you like, comment below. Have you guys had coronavirus? Do you know anyone that's had coronavirus? Do their symptoms match what Tom went through? Or did you know? Because oh man, you're still sick, and that's what just blows my mind. This virus has a mind of its own. Guys, thanks again for tuning in. I'm Chris Canote with the Canote Show. We'll see you guys next time.